Hello and welcome back to the These Little Hands podcast. My name is Millicent and I'm coming to you from Bath in the United Kingdom, where I live and work with my husband, my baby girl and my dog Stella. And this is a podcast where I share my knitting, my sewing, my crochet and any other craft that I get up to. I have only recently returned to this platform after a 4-year break, and I'm so happy to be back. And I would like to thank everybody for all the kind messages you sent after episode 28, which was the first one back after quite a long time. I'm hoping that you are seeing this episode because I've been struggling to record it. I'm using my phone to record and it doesn't want to sync with my computer, so this is actually the third time I'm trying to do this, so we will see if it works. But today I have quite a few things to share with you, and I'm going to start off with a finished object. So I have completed my first set in the In Bloom sock set. The lighting here today is a little dark because it is a cloudy day. It's nice and warm, but it is cloudy and raining. So I'm hoping I can fix this a little bit in editing. But this is the In Bloom sock set by Summerlee Design Company. And this is the first sock in the pattern. I think they have individual names. I don't know what this one is called, but you buy them as a set. So this is the first one. Excuse me. And I've completed the set. I knit them on magic loop and 2.25 millimeter needles, which is the recommended needle size in the pattern, 64 stitches, and they turned out great. I've already worn them. So yes, really happy to have those finished. And the sock blocker is from Tribe Yarns and I really like it. I only have one blocker, so that's why both of them are not on the blockers. I only use one at a time. So yeah, that is the finished ones, and the yarn I used is the Humble Sock by Dye Bath, which is a local to me yarn dyer, and I believe she's also the owner of Wool, the yarn store here. So this is the label, Dye Bath yarn, and the yellow is called Sunspot and the pink is called Shocking. So I'm planning to make all three in the set, and I am going to do the second one in this green color and the third one in this blue color. So I think that's going to be really cute, and they're all going to have the pink toes. So 3 pairs of socks with the pink toes, and I will have enough yarn left to do another sock in these colors, maybe a stripy sock, or I'll see when I get there. But I think they're going to be really lovely in the winter under my boots. Of course you won't see my neon socks, but I will know. So very happy with those. Beautiful lace pattern with bubbles as well. So yes, that is my finished object, a recent finished object I should say. And then last week I shared with you my Once and Floral sweater, which is this one. I think last time when I was on here I divided for the sleeve and just started on the body, but I probably only did a few centimeters. So since then I've completed the body and I tried it on as I went. So it is not the length that the pattern recommends, but you can see my hip is over here where my hand is, and so the ribbing comes below my hip. So it's a nice close fit, not tight but close fit, because I think I'll be wearing coats and things over it. I was thinking initially to knit this a little bit more oversized, but the yarn is quite thin and not as warm because it's BFL. And I think it would be nicer to wear it as a base layer and wear another sweater over it or a coat or whatever. So I'm really excited about this. I'm working on the sleeves, so I might have a finished object in 2 weeks time when I hope to return to the podcast. So an acquisition that I want to share now, because it goes with the sweater, is I've always intended that this sweater was going to be sort of a Christmas sweater, and I wanted to make it my own, which I did do by not doing the background color behind the roses. So on the original pattern, there's sort of a triangular shape behind the roses, which I just left out. But I always intended to do embroidery, or I was at some point thinking of adding tassels underneath the roses or something, which I never did. And I couldn't quite decide. And I was browsing on Tribe Yarns looking for something else when I saw this. I suppose I don't know if it's yarn or thread, but it's called Stellaris by Kremke. So it is viscose polyester and metallic yarn blend, and I decided that this is perfect. So I got 3 colors. I got the gold. They don't have color names, they only have numbers. And I got this blush pink, and then I got this green one that has like a copper color in between. So my plan is to do a little bit of embroidery on top of the roses with these, so that the roses pop even more. I'm going to try it out. If it doesn't work, I can always just not do it because it's beautiful as it is. But I would like to add a little bit of this. And these I also got from Tribe Yarns that I got the sock blocker from. So I'm really excited about that and moving along nicely with this, I think. I've had a lot of knitting time over the summer because I wasn't training the classes that I usually train for my work in my personal life. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist, and I train therapists as well as see clients face to face. So because of the summer holidays, I had less clients than I usually have, and I also didn't have any classes. So, but the new term has started, and I'm training 3 classes this term and have quite a full caseload on the day that I work. So I'm not going to have as much time as I had up to now. I'm also working on a secret project, which is taking most of my knitting time because I'm trying to finish that fairly quickly, and that is a test knit that I'm doing, so I can't share that with you because it is a secret for a book that's coming out next year. So I will share that in due time. But the other thing that I have been working on, I am not a monogamous knitter. I try to set myself goals. Over the past 18 months during lockdown, I've came into a better habit with my crafting, that I don't just drop and not finish projects. But I'm still not at a place where I don't start new projects on a whim. I sometimes still do. So I've been wanting to do a gift knit, and I've been thinking about what I wanted to do, and I wasn't sure, and I have the sweater on the go and the socks, and I wanted something that's quick and easy to knit but also has some interest. And I have a little basket of some of my yarn downstairs here in this room where I am, and these yarns were lying next to each other. So this is the single ply yarn that I used for the roses in my one-son floral sweater. Sorry, there's mohair in this bag and my nose is itching. It's by Leishan and Lace, and I think it's called Marsh Lily. I'm not exactly sure because I lost the label. But it was lying next to this kid silk from Rowan. That's this color, and I thought they go together so beautifully. So together with that, I've been watching Andrea Mowry's podcast, I'll Knit If I Want To, and she's been showing her shawls, and she's been showing the Birds of a Feather shawl, which is a shawl pattern that came out a long time ago, but I've always liked it. And I've seen other makers make it, and I've always thought that's something that I want to make. So I cast on for it. And this is where I am. So it's a fairly simple design with a little bit of feather and fan. The rest is garter stitch. And it's really beautiful. So what I'm not doing is the pattern tells you to remove your stitch mark and put it back in the middle, but I think I can see pretty well where that stitch is, and so I'm not doing that because that just, I feel like, holds me back. But I've been working on this and really enjoying it. I don't actually have enough yarn to do it because you need 2 skeins of the single and then 50 grams of the kid silk, and I only have 25 grams of this color and 1 skein, which I've already used a little bit of in the flowers on my Once on Floral sweater, and I held those flowers double, so I don't have a lot of this yarn left. But in my stash, excuse me 1 second because I put it out of reach. Excuse me. In my stash, I had this single from Miss Lamotte, which is one of my favorite South African hand dyers. I got it when I was still living in South Africa. And the colors are very similar. So I think in a shawl, it will work. So you can see this one is a little bit darker and more pink. This one has a little bit of green in it, where this one doesn't have any green in it at all. So I'm thinking of either doing a bit of this up to sort of the middle of the shawl, switching to this, and then finish the shawl again with this, so that the points of the shawl is the same when you have it wrapped around you and the middle is a little bit darker. I think that is what I'll end up doing. And then I assumed that I would easily be able to find another ball of this color, but I have been looking online and it seems like this color is discontinued. So I don't have a plan for the mohair yet. I do have a lighter pink in my stash, but I don't know if that's what I want to do. So I'm going to see what I'm going to do with this. I don't think it matters in a shawl that much that it has to be perfectly matching. I think there's a lot of ways you can mix and match to make it still really beautiful. And as I said, it's a gift knit. I don't think the person who it's for watches this podcast, but in case, I'm not going to say who it's for. So that is my current projects that I'm working on. I have a lot of unfinished projects and I have other projects that I'm working on. And so I wanted to say that because I've had a 4-year break of this podcast, I have been making quite a lot of things during that time. And if you have anything specific that you would like me to show on here, I can, for example, show all the shawls that I've made. I can show you the sweaters that I have. I don't have all the knits I've ever made. Some of them I gave away, some of them got lost or damaged or whatever, so I don't have everything to show you, but I have quite a lot of archive knits that I can also share on here. I can go through all my unfinished projects or works in progress and show you that. So please leave any comments below of things you would like me to share and show on here, and I can see how I can accommodate that. Okay, so that is that for my current knitting. And in my previous podcast, on the same vein that I've been talking about now, I said that I will share some of the things that I've been working on over the past 2 or so years. and I thought I'll share 2 free patterns with you that I quite enjoyed making and that I actually use quite a lot. So the first one is one that I made while I was pregnant. It's one of the only things I knitted while I was pregnant. I was unfortunately quite ill for the duration of my pregnancy, and it just took a lot of mental capacity from me, and actually basically I just lost my knitting mojo. But I really love whales, and so this is a free pattern on Ravelry. It is called Hazel the Humpback Whale, and I really like it because it's actually very realistic in a way. You can see there's shaping here for the blowhole. You can see the shaping of the whale is also not smooth. It has a little hump here, and the fin, I like the tail. It's quite realistic. You can see it's not smooth here, and also the fins. Is it called fins? Flippers? Can't remember now. But this is a completely free pattern on Ravelry. It's not the most detailed pattern I've ever knit, but there's a lot of pattern notes from everybody that's made it before. So in that way, you know, it's quite easy. And then also you knit it as in a cylinder, so you don't have to sew anything together at the end. This is knit out of yarn that I had in my stash, which is the Rowan Superwash Pure Wool worsted yarn, which was fine. I mean, I think it's knit for, I think the pattern is written for a DK weight, but I don't think it matters that much with a toy. And if you watched last week's episode and saw all the toys that I shared, I think this was the gateway into it. Although this is knitting and those ones were crochet, I think this was the gateway into making toys because it's really rewarding. You have a finished object quite quickly. And yes, this is in Elena's playroom and well loved. Her name is called, I named her Tembi. The pattern is called Hazel. Tembi because my husband and I adopted a whale quite a few years ago, a southern right whale in South Africa. That's part of a conservation program. And the whale we adopted is called Tembi. So her name is Tembi. And then the other one I wanted to share with you is here behind me. And this turned out to be one of the knits I've made that I use the most. So it was inspired by this yarn. This is a La Bien-Aimée yarn. I don't know the name anymore, but it is on my Ravelry project page, and it was gifted to me by a very dear family member when we found out that we were expecting Elena. At the time we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl, and I really struggled to find what I was going to make from it because I did want to make something special, and I was looking at clothing, but kids grow so quickly. There's nothing wrong with knitted clothes for kids, but I didn't want it to be something that she would grow out of. And excuse me, still knitting from the mohair, itching from the mohair in the bag. Yeah, so I decided to go for something, instead of clothing, something that's more of an heirloom and something that I will use a lot. And here in the UK, it's often a little cold, so it's nice to have a blanket you can take around with you anywhere. And I decided to cast on the 4 Points baby blanket from PURL SOHO. So it's a completely free pattern. There's a knitted version and a crochet version. This, of course, is the knitted version. So then what I did is I have a couple of single skeins of yarn in my stash, and I just looked for ones that matched. So that has similar colors. So I went for greens and purples because this one is green and purple. This one is a Madeline Tosh yarn that I had in my stash. This one is Lichen and Lace. I think this is called Marsh Lily, if I remember correctly. And this one is also a really special one from Kaleidoscope Yarns, a hand dyer in South Africa that has unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, but she gifted me this skein of yarn, so it's really special. And yes, this is we use it almost every day, and such a easy knit. It does take almost the entire skein, so this skein had a little bit less yardage than the others, and I used the entire skein. There was nothing left. And the other ones I used almost everything, and I made pom-poms with the yarn that was left, and added it to the four corners of the blanket and also in the middle of the squares, so just to make it a little bit more fun and whimsical. But those are my two archive knits that I thought I would share with you. Both are free patterns. Everything I talk about is linked below, and if I forgot to link it, just ask me and I will send you the information. Okay, so that is actually it for today, except for one last thing. Just before I sat down to record this podcast, I received a really special parcel from South Africa, so I have some new acquisitions. And this is actually one of my favorite bases. So African Expressions is a South African yarn, and it's kid mohair, mulberry silk and wool blend, so it's very, very soft and silky. And they, on their Instagram, they released a limited, I think it's limited collection, but of neon colors. So it's these three colors. They are really beautiful. So I got 2 balls of this color, 2 balls of this color, and then in a sweater's quantity of this color. Now that I see them in person, I actually think this one is my favorite, so I'm a little bit sad I didn't get a sweater's quantity of this one, but I do still love the coral. I do love it. So I have a sweater's quantity of this one, and then I have this lilac color, which is not a limited edition, but I wanted the lilac color specifically, so I got those ones. And then I also got the mohair of this color. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them together or separately. I plan to use them together, but this yarn, because it has such a high silk content, is not very structured. It's very drapey, and the sweater that I wanted to make, I think I'll need a little bit more structure. But I mean, this color is so lovely. It will pair well with a light pink or even a neutral color, and I think it will still look great. So those are my acquisitions. I'm very excited about them, and it's lovely to receive yarn from home. So yeah, that is what I have for you today. The last thing I can mention is that I am wearing my Simplicity 8636. I made these dresses in 2019. I made 3 versions. This is just a full-length version that I can't show you, but it's just very loose and flowy. I love the fabric. It has a big tear at the bottom. This one is I made longer, so this is a maxi length, but it was an easy adjustment to make, and it has short sleeves, and I love it. It's one of the most comfortable items in my wardrobe. I wear it all the time. It's a perfect house dress, but you still look put together. So yes, that is everything I have to share with you today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope I will see you next time. Bye.